All right, what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to cover the top 5 weapons in the game. Since I've seen a couple different videos of other creators making this list and not really agreeing with them, some of the weapons were correct. The rest I'm just like, meh, sure, if it fits your playstyle. But statistically speaking, we're going to go through the correct top 5 tier list. And if you still think I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. In any case, these are my stats. I've been playing since day one. I've got about a little over 3,200 hours in the game at this point. So hopefully what I tell you guys holds some merit to that. But if you disagree, by all means, do let me know. So just jumping into it right away with the top 5. Okay, I'm not doing sidearms. The only sidearms you should be really using is, the Glock, the MP. In some cases, this is still pretty good. But this is the better version of the MP28, and then the Deagle is pretty fun to use. Unfortunately, all the portal weapons did not get any sort of red dot attachment to them, so I'm pretty disappointed in that. I wouldn't recommend using them as primaries unless you're getting them tier 1, okay? Moving along, the top 5 weapons in the game is going to be the Bison, the RM68, LCMG, the BSV, and the 12M. In no order, okay? Because your number 1 weapon might be different than my number 1 weapon, and my number 1 weapon is the Bison, which has the most kills that I have in the game so far, a little over 100,000 kills, right? So, but that might not be your number 1 pick, right? You could be a DMR main, so, and then that would be the BSV, or even the BSV might not fit your playstyle, and you use the SVK because you like sitting further back. Anyways, kind of covering why they're the top 5, okay? Bison has a 65 round mag. Throw a suppressor on this, you hit a nice little flank there. You can clean a room with 6, 7, 8, 12 people without having to reload. It's pretty nice. Being able to clear rooms without having to reload is always that one less mechanic thing you have to worry about, right? You're dumping rounds out, you're getting a bunch of kills, not really having to worry about reloading multiple times to get that done, right? You know, so the PBX is also a good option playing CQC, but you're having to reload it constantly. It's got a higher rate of fire and half the mag capacity. So, the Bison, good rate of fire, big mag, get a bunch of feeds going with this thing, right? So that's why I have so many kills with it, okay? And not only that, it has been a viable option since day one. Since the game first came out, this was the only working weapon when the game first came out, and it has continued to be a very reliable weapon since the game has launched. So that's why it has the most kills. Now, it doesn't make it the overall, I guess, best weapon for every scenario, but for most cases, the way that I play, it is the best choice for me. So that is my number 1. RM68, very good AR to use, very little recoil, fairly low on the spread from what I've noticed once you get down to the half mag, and it's got good damage out to 30 meters. It'll still 4-shot you, so it still does 60 to the head out to 40 meters. I'm sorry, 30 meters. They dropped it to 30. Don't hang me for that one. But and it has a built-in suppressor, okay? So I don't know why you would want to replace the built-in suppressor. Just throw the short barrel on there to increase its rate of fire, keep the standard rounds on there, and you're doing the maximum damage you possibly can with it. Or you can keep the standard barrel on, right? A little less rate of fire, but a little more stability, okay? So this only downside to the RM is its mag size, right? It only has 30. There is no 40 round capacity for it. And the close combat rounds got nerfed completely into the ground, where they no longer 4-shot at any range. It is by default a 5-bullet to kill. So there's no reason to use close combat rounds in this weapon whatsoever, in my opinion. But again, everyone's playstyle is different. You guys choose your own adventure type deal, right? That's why you have all these attachments and utilities for every weapon in the game to kind of fit whatever unique playstyle you may or may not have. So the LCMG. The LCMG was kind of nicknamed the 200-round version of the M5 before the M5 got nerfed, right when the ARs got nerfed, so they weren't laser beams anymore. The LMGs, SMGs weren't nerfed prior to the ARs getting nerfed, so just recently everybody's kind of on an even playing field. But the LCMG was a 200-round laser beam, it still is fairly strong. All of the LMGs are still fairly strong, okay? But the reason this was up there in the top 5 is because it has the most versatility in its kit for not only the underbarrel, but for ammo types and barrel attachments, right? I can put short barrel, I can put a suppressor, I can put armor piercing, high power, whatever. I can even put a grenade launcher on this thing. And a shotgun, which is funny, okay? So you've got all these different options to kind of make this thing weird if you want and still be useful. So I build this for rate of fire, okay, the close combat rounds and the short barrel. You can change out the close combat rounds for the standard rounds like you would with the RPT and the Avances to increase your 5 BTK range. And when I say BTK, I'm talking bullets to kill. So if you want the same 5 BTK range on the LCMGs you would get for the Avances, just switch it to standard rounds. You're going to take a slight RPM hit on there, but if you're not playing as aggro as I do, then the standard rounds is probably going to be a better option for you. But I built this specifically to be a hip fire machine, kind of laser you and clear rooms without having to reload, okay? There are very few instances in this game where you're running a 2-round LMG where you're going to reload before you die. Right? It's just how the game works. There's so much random stuff going on in this game that there's very few instances where I find myself having to reload this thing. And the only time I'm really reloading this is if I successfully clear a room and I mag dumped everybody, okay? That's about it. That's the only time I ever reload this thing. Otherwise, I just die and I reset. But I never had to reload, so I don't have to worry about it or think about it, okay? So, like, when I'm in a fight and I'm using my normal SMGs or ARs, in between fights, I'm looking at how much ammo is in my mag before I consider reloading or not. And with LMGs, I don't have to, I can just turn that off completely. It's like, all right, cool, 200 rounds. I go till I either run out or I die. That's it. So build this however you want to run it. This is my specific build for it. But again, standard rounds. You can even put a suppressor on this thing. You've got other scopes for this guy. Like I said, you get a master key. You can even put all these. You've got a grenade launcher, for God's sakes. I mean, like, go crazy, right? All right, so the BSV, there's 2 ways to build this. The meta way to build this is throwing the high power rounds on there because this is a full auto DMR, right? So for those who are just now coming into the game fairly recently or even brand new, this used to 2-shot you out to 150 meters. And what I mean by a 2-shot was a body headshot would down you out to 150 meters. Okay, let me put that in perspective. Before the NTW's range got nerfed from the 1-shot range to 100 meters, it was 150 meters. This thing was competing with NTWs. Silly. But anyways, that's got down in half to 75. Or you can build this like a hybrid SMG. And it's if you're playing aggressive with this thing, please don't forget to switch it to full auto. It defaults to single fire, and I cannot tell you enough. I have gotten myself killed a handful of times because I was told, hey, why don't you use this and do it on stream, and this I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever, and I forget to switch it to full auto. There is I really think this thing needs a default full auto if you use the close combat rounds for it. But anyways, standard rounds, high power is your meta go-to, optics, whatever you want it to be. But the way the game runs now, DMRs are kind of standing out more because of the other main weapons getting put in line with the spread. So now most engagements are happening before the 75-meter window. So if you're running DMRs and you're up against an AR player, you technically have the advantage because even if this person headshots you every single time, it's still going to take him 3 rounds to down you. Whereas as long as you land 1 headshot, it takes 2. So you're still technically mathematically winning that fight if you land your shots, okay? So that's all I really have to say about the BSV. This thing's a nightmare. It's been a nightmare since it came out. It's been nerfed appropriately, but it's still really, really strong, okay? And then the last guy on the list here is this good old 12M, okay? There's really nothing to say about this shotgun other than the fact that the damage drop-off is non-existent. It hits harder than my father. That's a joke. Maybe. You can put a 20-round drum mag on this thing, and it's just, you're not really ADSing this thing. I did have someone tell me before that they throw on the thermal sight, the 125 thermal for this guy, so that way they can just kind of see what's around in the room, which that's cool. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Or, trying to look out in front of you. Okay, I could see that. That's probably a viable time to ADS with it to see who's around, but really you're just running around hip firing people to death with this thing. And so the damage that it has at range is absurd. It hasn't been nerfed since it's come out. They've tried to nerf it, and they have failed miserably at trying to make this thing in line with everything else, especially when the pump shotty just doesn't exist in the game because it's so bad. It's just bad. I can't say anything else. It's just bad. It doesn't work in this game. I don't know what the problem is, but it's bad. Anywho, there also is a bug to this thing that makes it shoot faster. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm sure somebody else already on here has probably mentioned it before a time or two. But I'm going to let y'all, if you don't use this thing and you're just getting into the game and you start playing with it, I'm going to let you figure it out. It's not hard to figure out. There's only a handful of things you can do to this guy. But there is a bug to make it shoot faster, and that's all I'm going to say. So those are the top 5, okay? I don't have anything else to really kind of talk to right now. Still waiting for Season 6 information. We got, what, 2 more weeks coming on Tuesday. 2 more weeks of Season 5, and then we'll see if they give us something worthwhile. They kind of tease a little bit on Twitter that it's not going to be what we expect, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, cool. So you're going to give me 5 maps? Is that what you're telling me? Because that would be unexpected. I know it's a little bit of sarcasm, but, I mean, honestly, this game has been a serious letdown almost every season. So it is what it is. Also, oh, the other thing too is this game for the next title was confirmed that it's not coming out next year at all. They said fiscal year 2026, meaning the end of 2025 at the earliest. Okay, fiscal year ends in October for those of you who aren't in the marketing world. So end of 2025 at the earliest is when we're going to see the next Battlefield title. So giddy up, boys and girls, because we're going to play this game for another 1.5 years. Fun. All right, man. I appreciate everybody for watching all the content I've been pumping out. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. Again, if you agree with my top 5, go ahead and leave a like. If you don't, let me know in the comments below. But until the next one, guys, see ya.